Hey fellow vinyl friends! Another recent rotation, this time it's called Smooth Operator. It's kind of an early bird edition. I was trying to shoot this video yesterday after getting home from work, but within 2 minutes it went pitch black because there was a thunderstorm rolling in. So now I just thought I'd do it before I head to work, since I'm not able to shoot anything on the weekend, and yeah. I usually don't even do breakfast in the morning, so hey, that's dedication. And I need coffee. I'm a little bit tired, but anyway. Okay, since I've noticed that my videos always tend to be on the more wild freak-out side, this time it's not free jazz and not heavy, psychedelic, fast-out guitar freak-outs, but the more mellow and laid-back records I've spun lately will get a spot today in this video. But of course a little madness is always included. Yeah, say hi to Robert Baier this time. We start with Sibylle Baier Color Green, which was released in 2006 over Orange Twin Records. This is a 2010 release, I think. And Sibylle Baier was a German actress. She played a small role in a Wim Wenders film, and later in 2008 she composed some music for one of his films. This album was recorded between 1970 and 1973 in Germany at her home late at night when her family was asleep and she came back from work. And this night setting kind of defines the atmosphere here. For the major part of the record, Sibylle's frail and melancholic voice is only accompanied by acoustic guitar, and this creates a really heart-aching, melancholic and heartfelt atmosphere. It's a singer-songwriter record, in case you haven't figured. These recordings were never intended to be released by her. She just did it for friends and family. But her son Robbie decided to release this in 2006 and made this gem accessible to the world. And she was totally perplexed by the responses she received. And it's really interesting because if you just keep in mind that she was really young and did not do any professional recording, this album just sounds flawless, and I think even her English sounds flawless. If I had a little accent, I wouldn't have noticed that she's from Germany. She's living in the US now, as well as her family and her son. This was again another record I stumbled on over YouTube suggestions, and I just put it on, and I think within 3 minutes I put it on my want list because it was just so beautiful. And then for 9 months, not one release in Europe popped up. In the US, the reissues are readily available. The first press from 2006 is kind of sought after, but the rest is pretty available. But within 9 months, when it was on my want list, not one release in Europe popped up. So last month, finally a copy came to Germany, and I just immediately had to grab it, and I'm really happy to have it finally.
Tonight, when I came home from work, hurt. Tonight, when I came home from work, they're here. Unforeseen, sat in my kitchen, where first love and soul takes rise. There were times in my life when I felt mad and depraved, and only the slopes gave me hope. When I passed through the leg-high grass, I shall die. Zoo tonight, won't you think we had fun? My daughter, my son, my daughter, my son, my daughter, my son, my daughter, my son. One by one, I grow old. I shall wear the bottom of my trousers rolled, says Elliot. Days keep growing short, nights turn
So the next record is Träd, Gräs or Stenar, Tack for köffet, which fittingly translates to thanks for the coffee, which I would love to have right now. And this was released this year over Subliminal Sounds. And they keep the tradition of putting the gatefold in a artwork in the wrong way. So Träd, Gräs or Stenar is a Swedish prog psychedelic group which has been active since 1970. I'm a big fan of all of their albums. If you have watched a few videos, you will know. This is their 2070 release with the last contributions of the deceased members, the bassist Choare and Sibylle, who passed away in 2010, and the drummer Thomas Maragards, who passed away in 2012. There are a few recordings on here from 2006 until 2012, I think. It's dedicated to the two band members, which I think are visible here, and I absolutely love the cover. It's a quite interesting album because all band members who ever were in the band are participating on this record. Old concept ideas of both late members were used to write new songs. This is a really melancholic, almost drone-like, hypnotizing, bluesy, slow, psychedelic feeling to it. Some tracks are really spherical and atmospheric, organic, and really spacious, and I think it's a really fitting tribute album. They changed the style kind of bit from progressive psychedelic rock to more drone-like influences, which I really dig, and I think this is definitely going to be one of my favorites this year. There's a lot of improvised stuff on here. It was recorded in the countryside live. It really has a kind of a timeless feel to it, and yeah. And the album cover is one of my favorites this year too. Spence, and there we have the Little Madness. Was released in 1969 over Columbia. This is the Sundays 2002 release. Yeah, Skip Spence. I think his story has been covered a lot by WC members. In case you haven't heard of him, here's just the gist. He played briefly with Jefferson Airplane and Quicksilver Messenger Service. Then he formed Moby Grape. Then he got lost a little, and high as a kite he tried to trash down the door of the hotel room of his fellow band members from Moby Grape with a fire axe. He thought one of them was the Antichrist, and he wanted to redeem him. This resulted in spending the next 6 months in the psychiatric ward of the Baier hospital. He wrote several songs there, and after the release he was approached by the Moby Grape producer David Rubinson, and he recorded this engaging and haunting piece of music. It was recorded all by himself. He played every instrument. We have guitar, drum and bass here, and he sang everything. So it's just a one-man show basically. The producer was not present while the recordings took place because he thought it would distract Spence, but he advised the sound engineer to keep the tape running at all times so they would get a whole picture of it. Spence thought this would only be demos, but the recordings were released, and It was Columbia's worst selling album at that point, and they even put it out of their catalog, I think half year after the release. This record now received kind of a cult status, and I'm absolutely in love with this album. So Columbia, you got it all wrong. So from the story I told you before, you can kind of imagine that the songs were kind of written in a really unique situation. And for me, in this album feels like we are getting an unfiltered glimpse into his bare and rounded soul. And a lot of songs here lean on the country folk side. There are a few pieces really standing out for me here. For example, Diana. Not only because of the name, but it's a really beautiful and heartfelt song. War and Peace is incredibly psychedelic. Book of Moses is having a really interesting blues vibe, and the album ends with Grey Afro, which is a really trippy and spacey piece. There are even more recordings from the session released under Extra and Unissued Ore, and there is an Ore tribute where people like Tom Waits and Beck recorded cover songs from this, and Beck even released a complete cover from this album on his website. So yeah, this album was getting a lot of love, and it's well deserved because I think it's a really unique piece and really haunting and rough, but at the same time it's really fragile and kind of skin crawling, hauntingly. I get never tired by listening to this, so it's highly recommended.
Tears fall like rain. Oh, there I am in pain. Got some splitters than you, but some Moses brought me right here back to you. Flaming heart, to stay asleep.
Peter Walker, second poem to Karmela, or Gypsies Are Important, which was released originally in 1969 over Vanguard. This is the 2014 Light in the Attic release. Light in the Attic teamed up with Vanguard to release some more obscure pieces of their catalog, and this is kind of a prime example of it. This album is a beautiful blend of folk, psychedelia, and Eastern and Indian traditional music. Peter Walker studied the sarod with an Indian master as well as flamenco guitar. He was basically the musical conductor of countless of Timothy Leary's LSD trips. Yeah, this makes him a really intriguing figure, and this album is intriguing as well. Hypnotizing, transcendental, and mesmerizing. one is playing in the back, and that's perfect for the morning because it's Velvet Morning Gorilla. This album was released in 2015 over Exact Records, a Belgian-based label. Velvet Morning is a London-based band consisting of the, at this point, 20-year-old Samuel Jones, who writes the songs, Carly Carmichael, John Redman and John Kirkwood, and it was released over the Belgian label. I bought this fittingly in Brussels, but again I stumbled over it on YouTube due to the suggestions. Thank you YouTube for all your suggestions because they're great. This is kind of a perfect album for a balmy summer night or even a Sunday morning, I would say. It's psychedelic, sometimes more psychedelic pop, shoegaze, super laid back and psyche and soft, and you have kind of an introverted vibe to it because the vocals are more mumbled and often unintelligible. Every track here fits into each other like a glove. It's a really dreamy, hazy and atmospheric album which I really dig. Is Novos Baianos Acabou Choare, released on Some Livre in 1972. This is the 2013 Polysome release. If you ever come across the Polysome releases, they are fantastic. I think they sound fantastic. I also have the Gal record on the label, and I think the reissues just sound perfect. This is the sophomore album by one of the revolutionary and influential Brazilian groups, and interestingly this was voted #1 in the Rolling Stones list of 500 of the best Brazilian albums ever made. And it's a great fusion of MPB, samba, rock and bossa nova. Beto Gil kind of contributed a lot to it. For example, the title song is inspired by a story which he told about his daughter, and it translates Acabou Choare, I think translates to no more crying or stop crying. It's really fitting, I guess, and it also frames the theme of the album of trying to set a counterpart to the more sad and melancholic vibe commercial Brazilian songs had at this point, and they replaced this vibe with songs bursting of joy and liveliness and great tropicalia. You have terrific guitar play here, heavy drums, a lot of catchy melodies, and the whole album is just so energetic and enthralling. It's a really great variety on here, and it sounds like they had a blast while recording it. And so yeah, I think it's also perfectly fitting for the summer, and highly recommended.
Preta, preta, pretinha, preta, pretinha. No bulbo lindo, no bulbo lindo. Talvez por buraquinho invadiu minha casa. Assim você vai ser, somente só. Assim vou lhe chamar, assim você vai ser, somente só.
And the last one for today is Collin Walcott, Grazing Dreams, which was released in 1977 over ECM. This is the second album Collin made on ECM, and it features an all-star cast. He is playing sitar and tabla here, John Abercrombie is playing electric and acoustic guitar and electric mandolin, Don Cherry is playing trumpet, wood flute and dulcim goni, Palle Danielson is playing bass, Dom Romano is playing berimbau, chica, tambourine and percussion. I'm a really big fan of sitar play, and this album is just a perfect example for this, and I think Collin's sitar play harmonizes perfectly with Don Cherry's trumpet and wood flute play. Song of the Morrow paints a more melancholic and really kind of yearning picture, and takes the listener right into this atmospheric, dreamlike sequence. Old Sun is really minimalistic, jewel ornament is really heavy Eastern influence. The title track is a really subtle piece. Moon Lake is a great group improvisation here. I think it's a perfect follow-up to Cloud Dance, and a really enchanting piece. So that's it for today. I'm in desperate need for coffee, and I really hope you enjoyed this really smooth episode. I cannot believe that I have almost 1,000 subscribers right now. I'm thinking of doing a little contest when I reach the figure, so